Welcome to Business Watch. I'm Chief Robert Osecki of the Brunswick Hills Police Department. With me today, I have members of CARD, which is Citizens Aggressively Resisting Drugs. I have as my guest John Stukbauer, Assistant Safety Director for the City of Brunswick, and Marcie Dobrowolski, parent member. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chief.
John, if you could, tell us a little bit about CARD and its members.
Well, if I could go back a little bit, Chief, I've been dealing with juveniles and problems with juveniles for about 32 years now, both with the Brunswick Police Department and now in my new position as a charge of community policing for the City of Brunswick, which involves Brunswick Hills Township and Hinckley in numerous group endeavors. And through all these times, we have always found that when dealing with juveniles, they kind of live and are guided through life in three environments. And these three are the community, the schools, and on the top are the parents. And the community has many programs, both in the townships, Hinckley, in the school system, that we work with the juveniles. Our school liaison program that both the city police and the township police work with, trying to work with the youth and guiding their environment and their behavior. Our FACT program and numerous other programs that we have. The school also has many programs that they work with, trying to guide the juveniles as they're growing up in regards to the use and misuse of alcohol and drugs. And the key component to all this environment and the growing up of the juveniles is parents. So several months ago, I think it was in September, October of last year, when a parent group was formed, which Marcie is part of, they said, we want to get involved and help the community and help the schools getting rid of the misuse of drugs and alcohol, and what can we do? And it was something that was really enlightening, and we were thrilled about it in the community, in the schools, because that one portion of the triangle, the parents, the community, the schools, the biggest portion, the parents was really getting involved. So we met with them, and their first goals were to set out the truth from the rumors and find out exactly what are the problems in northern Medina County, in the Brunswick school system. As you know, if we're sitting in a room and we all tell a secret to somebody, it's going to come out totally different by the time it goes around. And so the first thing was to find out what the truth is, get rid of the rumors, and then address the problems that are in the schools today. Naturally, we don't have the same problems that Cleveland has, but we do have problems here, and that's what we want to look at. So looking at that, the parents decided that they were going to get into the second part of their program after they dispel the truth and the myths, and that was going to be to try to educate the parents and get the parents involved, tell the parents what is happening, what's going on, how they can help, what to look for in their children. Tell the parents what the community is doing, what the school's doing, and how the parents can join the team, this three-environment team, to help raise the kids and get them away from drug and alcohol abuse. And so the first major endeavor that this group has done is to put on programs at 9 of the schools in Brunswick. We have not done it at the high school, but we are in the process of doing it at the elementary schools and at the junior highs. And it's a very interesting program that they're putting on, and I think Marcie is going to explain more or less what the program is and exactly where we're doing it and which one we've done and which ones are going to be done yet. So, Marcie?
Okay, we have a program that lasts from 7 to 8:30. And basically, we follow a format where John gives some opening remarks, and then we go to talk about today's drug problem and how we stack up against the nation here in Brunswick. We have some representatives from the schools, Becky Stolarski or Debbie Marshall, and they will talk about our specific problem that we deal with in our schools. And we also will have the director of Medway, who will address how we go about addressing the problems that we do have in this area. And we talk a little bit about the warning signs and where we need to get help. We have a representative from Alcohol and Drug Dependency Services of Medina County, and she will be giving some signs and symptoms to look for with the different drugs that are prevalent in our area. We'll also have a drug agent come in and do a demonstration with his dog. And what he will do is talk about the qualifications that the dog will needs to be certified. And then we will have a real interesting group of kids from the huddle group at the high school. And that group is a great group of kids that decide to be alcohol and drug free. And they'll talk about their experiences in the high school and what they can expect, you can expect as a parent for your children when they come up to the high school, and how they've decided to make that decision and how it impacts them. Mm-hmm. And then we follow up with a program at the very end with some question and answers from all of the panel for the parents.
What are some of the questions that you've had from the parents that have attended the programs?
Well, they were just very curious about, they hear a lot of rumors regarding drug use in the high school and at the junior high level too. And we're really there to give some specific information and some specific guidelines for them to kind of go by, what to look for. Mm-hmm. And that's real helpful because we have a lot of parents now that grew up in the 70s and they're pretty savvy compared to other parents. But having said that, there's an inhalant problem in our community, and a lot of people are not very educated about that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the inhalants and what the parents should be looking out for?
I think Becky Stolarski is going to really talk about the specifics, but inhalants are things that are real easily accessible. You don't need, you don't need to be 21 to buy them. These would be things that have propellants in them, hairsprays, Fix-A-Flat, all the different things that we would never dream to think that kids would abuse and inhale and huff and get a quick high. And you wouldn't really be suspicious if you saw on your teenager's table, right. Hairspray for one, nail polish remover. And we'll talk specifically about those because I think a lot of people aren't aware that those are being abused.
Okay. What I want to do is, this show is also tailored toward our business community as well as the parent viewers. So if you can expound a little bit maybe about what the demonstration was with the drug dog, so for our business owners that wouldn't be at our presentations at the schools.
Well, the drug dog, which is owned by the Medina County Sheriff's Department, they have also joined this group and are giving the presentation. This is an amazing dog, and I should say, even though we're part of the program, he does much better than any of us.
Plus, he doesn't talk as much, right?
He's the star. Yeah, thanks, Bobby. He's the star. He's warm and cuddly. But the trainer comes in about a half hour before the program starts, and he'll hide a very small amount of marijuana, enough for maybe one cigarette, someplace in the room, and a small amount of cocaine. He'll then tell the dog to sit around the corner someplace and lie there. And the program goes on for almost an hour before he's up, or it's his turn, and he'll introduce the dog by calling out his name. And this dog, who just amazes the people to start with, because he's been lying behind this cabinet or something for this whole time, nobody knew he was there. And then he'll give him the directions or the orders, and this dog will find that one marijuana cigarette or that cocaine just by having him go around the room and detecting. He does a great job, and he's available for anyone who wants their premise or anything searched for that. He can be contacted either through you, Bob, or myself at the city, and he's available for that also.
And I know we also, through the police departments, have access to drug dogs from the Highway Patrol.
Yes.
So within this part of the state, we can get our hands or get assistance from a drug dog 24 hours a day, depending on what the situation may be.
I think there's about 4 available to us in Medina County at any one time.
Marcie, if you could, tell us a little bit about the presentation from the director of Medway and some of the high points that he brings up during his presentation.
Well, he talks about the community, our community, and what kinds of things have been done to get drugs off the streets here, and compared to how it was a little bit ago. And he really talks about how, since we're so close to Cleveland or Akron, that there isn't a real need to have a lot of drugs in big amounts right here in Brunswick, but how easily accessible it is, and what a big business it is, and it's very profit motivated. And he gives some specific examples of how an underage child might buy marijuana or might eventually end up selling it, and what an enormous amount of money he can make in a short period of time. And he talks about that, and he talks about how you know, he goes undercover and does different operations. So it isn't visible to our community. We don't see a lot of drug dealing going on like Cleveland might, you know. And he explains why Brunswick is really good like that, and Wayne County, Medina and Wayne County, to keep it off the streets and out of our eyes. But if you look close, what to look for, and, you know.
I think one of the interesting parts of his program is also he explains about when the drug agent was enrolled at the high school.
Right.
And in fact, there were 2 of them in recent years, and,
Right.
and what they found, and they found how the students were operating with the drugs, and one of the positive things was they found that most of the time, in fact, almost all the time, the drug person would not have the drugs in the school. They would make the deals there and so forth, and then you'd meet them after school to pick up the drugs. And this was kind of a positive thing, that there weren't as many drugs in the school as some people thought. But it's real interesting, his presentation about what the agents found out when he was in the school.
As far as the card presentations that have taken place so far, what dates are left and what schools are you going to be at?
Okay, on April 10th, which is a Thursday, we'll be at Huntington Elementary School. On April 15th, a Tuesday, we'll be at Kidder Elementary School. April 17th, which is a Thursday, we'll be at Applewood. And our last presentation is at Hickory Ridge on April 22nd, a Tuesday evening. And you're encouraged, anybody listening can come to any of these schools. You don't really have to, if you've missed the earlier ones, you're welcome to come.
So the presentation is open even to surrounding areas
Right.
that may be viewing our show, because I know we air a lot of times in Wadsworth and Medina, and I'm sure that you have no problem with any of those parents coming.
Right.
Anyone is welcome to come to these, and even though it is geared towards Northern Medina County or the Brunswick School District, being involved in, you know, Chief, being involved in county organizations, Brunswick is not the only place that has a problem. Every school district everywhere has a drug and alcohol problem. So there's a lot of information to learn here, no matter where you're from.
Yeah. I just want to thank you both for being on the show, and I'm happy to see this good cooperative effort between the parents and the schools and the police department. We've had it for many years, but it's just good to get another program and another goal of helping out our children.
I think the key, if I can hear, is just throw in, is the parents. That's so important.
Absolutely.
This is a parent group, and they're the most important part. You know, they see the kids more than we do, more than the schools do, and they see them a lot sooner than we do. And that's who we have to have helping us.
Absolutely, I agree with that. We'll be back right after this.
This is David.
Oh, hi.
This is what David's done. David went to college. Sorry, Annapolis. David taught himself to play piano, the sax, even the bagpipes. Well, maybe not the bagpipes. David was NBA Rookie of the Year. He's also been to the Olympics twice. David even became a naval officer. David's sure done a lot. But you know one thing David's never done?
Drugs.
David doesn't do drugs. Maybe that's why he's done so much.
Welcome back to Business Watch. I have 2 new guests that are members of the CARD organization. One is Liz Sherlock, Community Relations Coordinator for Brunswick Hills Police, and Becky Stolarski from the Brunswick City Schools. Welcome to both of you for the show.
Thank you.
Becky, if you could, share with our viewers what you see as being the drug problems in our schools and community.
I think that's a really good question, because most people in this area, Brunswick Hills and Brunswick, want that question answered. How do we compare to the state? How do we compare to the nation? Overall, we have some of the same kinds of things going on in this area as the nation. Number one, with our kids, alcohol is always going to be an issue, and it is. Our Pride survey indicated that we had approximately 45% of our 8th graders last year respond by saying that they have had some kind of contact with alcohol in the past year. Marijuana is also an increasing issue among our youth. 14% of our 8th graders indicated some involvement with marijuana as a drug of choice. The two other drugs that we can be concerned, need to be concerned with in this area are LSD and inhalants. Among LSD use, we're above the national average, and I can't recall exact numbers, but inhalant use, I can recall those. 6.5% of our fourth graders indicated that they had some kind of an experience with inhalants. The national average, Chief, is 5.5. And like Marcie had indicated earlier, inhalants are drugs that are so accessible. We have them in our homes anywhere, in the garage, in the closet, in the kitchen, and they provide a high that can be incredibly dangerous to young people.
Yeah, not to be a how to inhale to young people, but what are some of the examples that you can give our viewers of what the inhalants are and things that they should be watching out that their children don't have? Well, they're going to have ready access, of course, being in a home, but at least they can monitor more closely.
I think for parents, one of the things that we're seeing are butane lighters. If parents see a child in their home that doesn't smoke and they have 5 or 6 lighters, that ought to be raising red flags. Business owners who sell products ought to be concerned about kids that are not necessarily buying tobacco products, but are buying butane lighters, because they're small, they're easy to use, and kids do have access to those. We have some students that are involved with gasoline, inhalant use, nail polish. More commonly, we've had some hairspray, anything that has a propellant in it that will give like a 30-second high. It's real hard to see the results until there's been some kind of chronic use. There's real risk, however, to kids or anyone using inhalants, because the physical effects and the damage can be instant. So any kind of, if mom comes into the room, and normally during adolescence, teenagers aren't typically real clean people, and there's Glade and there's air freshener and there's all kinds of stacks of cans that might not normally be a red flag. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to the little caps that you press down on, because kids will take those off, and mom might find 5 or 6 of those under the bed as a red flag. So those are just a few kinds of things that, there are only about 1,400 products that are available. So we can't necessarily rid our homes and businesses of everything, but we need to watch for behavior changes.
So we're killing the ozone and our children.
Absolutely.
With some of the products out there.
Yeah, and you know, parents can do things like buy non-aerosol hairsprays, buy non-aerosol kinds of pumps, so that you don't have to deal with some of the propellant. But not all products are non-aerosol. You have to get into some of the other products and have those things in your home. And I think education is the key. Explaining that those are very dangerous to kids and that they're accessible. So that would be a concern. I want to kind of switch gears, because one of the drugs of concerns that is in controversy nationally in this country is marijuana. And we see a lot of kids using marijuana. And while there's this big controversy about whether it should be legalized or not, what I see in the schools with kids that are experimenting is serious. We have a motivational syndrome, apathy that develops, kids that have abilities to be very successful, just not achieving at all. And there's real risk to that, because that's potential workforce, that's potential community members that have what we call the I don't cares. So we need to really get smart as a community and have some clear messages to kids about marijuana, because the results for them are really damaging in a short period of time.
Yeah, it seems like people are just having apathy toward marijuana and don't see it as one of the real serious drugs. And, you know, of course, I disagree with that from a legal and from a moral standpoint. Back to our business owners, if I see all the time when I walk into a convenience store or into a gas station that one of the things that you see out there on their counter is the butane lighters. And I think that would also be a thing that they should be looking at, monitor for theft, and kind of keep behind the counter, because these are going to be the type of products that the juveniles are going to be coming in looking for.
Absolutely.
And also throw out that message to the parents to keep an eye on what you have at home and make sure that you don't have, you know, keep track of your pledge or whatever inhalant products you may have. And that goes back to what the presentation that you put on in the schools. You're telling the parents this. And you know, it's just a good message to send out that we all need to work together in this cooperative effort.
Right. Kids are not going to use in places where they're going to get caught easily. So they're not going to be out blatantly using in the business world or homes. They're going to find places discreetly. But what we as adult members of either the workplace or the school can do is check on behaviors, monitor behaviors. If you see kids coming into your business and they're going for the butane, you know, maybe you might want to set some policies about that. Parents, if they see red flags in terms of behaviors, pay attention to those, because we're not going, it's very rare that we're going to actually catch kids in the process of their involvement. Some kids are, and those children have had a history of use. So what we can as an adult community do is continue to educate ourselves about the very things that you've said.
Mm-hmm. Liz, what's some of the reasons why the members of CARD have joined and grouped together in a coalition to combat this problem?
Well, actually, that's one area that really intrigues me, is that we have a group of parents and community members and school representatives that are all there for completely different reasons. Their histories are different. We have parents who have never done drugs themselves, and they want to make sure that their kids follow in their footsteps. We have parents who have done drugs and are paying the price now in their adult lives. They don't want their children to experience the same type of thing. We have people involved that have approached, had to deal with personal tragedies, deaths, suicides, and things like that. The one thing that I find that is intriguing is that with all these different backgrounds is that we all have the same goal. We all want to make sure that our kids can grow up to be competent, healthy adults and not be affected in the long term by an experiment.
And that should be also why the business community and the business owners watching this program should be interested. This is the future of America. This is the future business owners, hopefully business owners, workforce, and people that they're going to have to pick out there from a pool of employees. And you know, again, it's the cooperative effort, and we need the businesses involved. We need them to watch. We need them to be an active part of presentations and of proactive environments in their workplace through policies, procedures, and making sure that abuses aren't there by their young employees.
Yes. We need cooperation among everybody, and we do have good cooperation. We need to extend the cooperation to everybody, including the business owners, the community.
And that's what, you know, John had touched on that before, and I just want to stress, this isn't a police, CARD is not a police program that was put together. It's everybody working together. As we've done on so many other things, we've looked, you know, with the Family Assistance Coalition team, that the whole family as a whole, but as far as we're with these inhalants and with the drugs, we need to make sure that the parents that have never used or aren't that well versed, that we can educate them through CARD and through the presentations on ways to make sure that our children stay healthy. What future things after the school presentations, and I know Marcie had said that there's, what, 4 left?
Yes.
Of the presentations. What's CARD looking at doing after the school presentations? And I know we're even getting into summer now.
Right. We plan on doing some videotapes. We want to do some videotapes to reach all aspects of our community, the adults, the business community, the parents. The program now addresses the parents, but we want to keep educating everyone. One of the other things that we're looking at doing is being involved in summer activities through old-fashioned days. We spoke last night with a Mr. Elmer Burns who owns drag race cars. I'm not sure what the term is, but they're the smaller version of it, and he has expressed an interest in working with our group, so we're going to be exploring that aspect too. We hope to address BYS, to get their involvement in it, and different community groups around.
There's a subgroup that's also working in tandem with the community group, and they're involved in working on some specific school issues. And I guess the point I want to reinforce that Liz has made is that anyone with any interest in prevention of alcohol and other drugs for our Brunswick Hills, Hinckley Township community that serves the schools is welcome to come. I mean, it seems that the group refocuses based on energy and interest, so that if somebody comes in with a really new project or a new idea, nobody's going to say, oh, no, you can't do that. The group is real flexible and open. So we have 2 groups right now that are functioning in that capacity.
Yeah, if I can elaborate on the other group, we do want to tell the viewers what it is that they're doing. Some of the things that they're doing are concerning the high school.
They're doing a survey of students. In fact, it was just completed, and they're doing a teacher survey to find out from kids exactly what the perception is among our high school students. How bad are the problems here at the high school involving discipline, alcohol, and other drugs? Soliciting input from the teachers. That survey has been developed. They've met with the athletic director to talk about his views and the community's views about alcohol and other drugs as it relates to athletes. They're having a speaker come in April 25th, and we'll be advertising that to the community. It's an open presentation to parents in the evening at the high school, and he will be talking about alcohol and other drugs and its relationship to athletics. And they are meeting to do
prom focus.
Right, to look at prom as an issue. So the groups aren't stagnant. They get done with something and they say, okay, what can we do next? So they keep kind of rolling along.
What about the newsletter that is going to be coming out?
We anticipate having a newsletter come out with each report card in the school system. It will contain articles from students, parents, members of our group, both groups, and people that have a background, an educated background, a professional background, and their viewpoints on drugs. Legal liabilities, we want to address that. If parents have a party at their home and something happens to a student who has been drinking, or they get caught drinking or using drugs at a party, what the parent liability is. We enlist help in this. We definitely cannot do this without more help. We need as much community involvement as we can.
Now, getting to the parties, we've already had notification and have had a couple of parties in the community, and springtime is just starting here, where some students just Good Friday cut school and were involved in a party. The parents have to know about their responsibilities, and also I understand that there's a letter coming out to the motel and hotel owners in the area, giving them some cautions and warning them about renting rooms to juveniles that are going to be having alcohol and drug parties.
Right.
Who's putting out that letter?
The Medina County Youth Violence Task Force is sponsoring that letter, and that's a collaborative group in Medina County of school, enforcement, agency, mental health, a whole group of people that are working on that issue. And one of the things that they're real concerned about is the relationship of alcohol and other drugs to violence. So in preparation of prom and graduation, they have drafted a letter, and again, Liz, liability and making the hotel and motel owners aware that there are risks if you do that to them for their business, just as there are risks, as you say, to parents who offer their homes as a safe haven for alcohol and drug use.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time as usual. There's never enough on the show. Liz, if you could, just to finish up, on what groups and organizations you've already talked to and who you're going to be going to talk about CARD.
We have gone and spoke to the Optimist Club, which you're a member, and we told them what our program was. They have given us money, and they've also volunteered to be our treasurer. We plan on attending any of the groups that will hear us. Chamber of Commerce, for example, and the Rotary Club are 2 examples. We also have a couple leads on businesses in the area that would like to donate and become involved in this program, and we plan on approaching those people and asking for both their membership in the group and financial support.
Okay. I'd like to thank you both for being on the show, and I commend you for your efforts. I think that this is a great effort on everybody's part. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Business Watch.